In this video, we'll discuss the special angles for trigonometry, and we are going to use two different right-angled triangles to help us discuss the special angles of 45 degrees, 30 degrees, and 60 degrees for all three trig ratios. Let us start with our first triangle. Here we have angles of 45 degrees and a right angle of 90 degrees. For this triangle, we'll use the lengths of the sides as 1 unit each, and by using Pythagoras, we can find the length of the hypotenuse, which is the square root of 2. And to help us find the trig ratios, we'll use the anagram SOHCAHTOA. So for the sine ratio, I have the length of the opposite divided by the length of the hypotenuse. So from 45 degrees, the opposite length is 1, and the length of the hypotenuse is square root of 2. So the sine of 45 is 1 over square root of 2. For cosine, I use the length of the adjacent side divided by the length of the hypotenuse side. So the cosine of 45 degrees is adjacent of 1 over square root of 2. Now the sine of 45 and the cos of 45 are both the same, and they also can be presented as the square root of 2 over 2 instead of 1 over square root 2. And lastly, we have the tan of 45 degrees, which is the length of the opposite divided by the length of the adjacent. So that is 1 over 1. And that is also equal to just 1. Now let's move on to our second triangle. The length of the one side would be 1, and the length of the hypotenuse equal to 2. And again, we can use Pythagoras to find the length of the missing side. So the sine of 30 degrees is the opposite, which is 1 over the hypotenuse of 2. So that is a half. For the cosine of 30 degrees, I have the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. So that is square root of 3 over 2. And the tan of 30 degrees is the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. So that is 1 over the square root of 3. Now for the sine of 60 degrees, I'd start at 60 degrees. And the length on the opposite side of 60 degrees is the square root of 3. And the hypotenuse is 2. So sine of 60 is square root of 3 over 2. Cos of 60 degrees is the length of the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. So that is 1/2. And the tan of 60 degrees is the opposite over the adjacent side. So that is simply the square root of 3 over 1, or we can say the square root of 3. Now for both of these triangles, you simply need to memorize each of these triangles with their unique angle sizes and lengths in order to answer questions.